Welcome to another episode of Until It's Done, a devoted podcast. I'm your host, Dana Lynn Kay, and I'm back in the studio for part 2 with Coach Carrie Best. She's a lifestyle nutrition coach, and we just had a fabulous conversation in part 1. If you did not hear that conversation, definitely go back and listen. We packed a lot of really great messages. Carrie told us her story, and then we kind of flowed into the world of competing and all kinds of like great lifestyle, like just things that like are great take homes for everybody listening at any age. A topic that I wanted to talk to about Carrie, because we actually, when we ended the last episode, she was talking about how she loves working with families, and a really, really hot topic right now, especially on my social media. I have twin girls. They're 12 years old, and they are polar opposites as far as body type, Bijou and Bryce. And Bryce was actually my bigger twin, and Bryce was born at like 5 pounds, 13 ounces. Bijou was like this tiny little like 4 pound, 3 ouncer. And she was so tiny. And then all of a sudden, and the doctor said, don't worry, she'll catch up. And then Bijou caught up. And she caught up, and she caught up, and she caught up, and then she just went way past Bryce in height and in weight and in every area. And I mean, Bijou even got her cycle 2 years before Bryce, like the whole thing. She's just been, and it was like, oh, okay, well, you never know when twins are born. Like one will start little and the next one. And so Bijou has struggled with her weight. Her body type is more like my body type, where when I was younger, I was always like the thicker girl, and I loved food, and I just packed on weight really easily. I did not have the metabolism where I could just eat whatever I wanted, you know. And I have friends who say that. They're like, oh, I've just eaten whatever I wanted my whole life. I never had to worry about it. I just wasn't that girl. So Bijou has the body type like me. Bryce is the girl who can just eat whatever she wants, Nutella on croissants, and it doesn't even faze her or move the needle for her weight. Anyway, Bijou, we've been struggling with her weight for years, and look, you know, it's nature versus nurture thing. They grew up as their mother. I'm into fitness. They've literally seen fitness from the womb. I mean, I was doing cardio when I was pregnant with them. They've seen me weight train. They've seen me build a brand around protein. So they know nutrition. But Bijou still gained a ton of weight. I don't know how. It's a mystery to me how the whole thing happened. I blinked an eye, and here she is, like kind of now in a struggle. And she went away to sleepaway camp this summer, and on her own worked really hard at camp to lose like 32 pounds. So Carrie and I were just discussing, Carrie was saying how she loves to help families. And so with Bijou, I just posted on social media. I did a post about Bijou making overnight oats before school. Now, I've always used the correct language in our home is like, what, you know, we eat our nutrition as far as teaching them nutrition, the macros, and we're eating protein, and we need carbs and all of those things. And then when we weight train, we're training to be strong, and we need cardio for activity. So Bijou's mind is right. She doesn't use words like, I want to be skinny and all these different things, where it's not like a diet culture situation I have going in my home, but I'm trying to change Bijou's lifestyle, because one thing I did realize was that she lost all that weight because she changed her activity level. Mm-hmm. It wasn't even about her nutrition. It was about her activity level. So Bijou has eaten correctly for the most part, but she was very sedentary, where her brother and sister are not. Mm-hmm. And so this is a topic that people have commented saying they're struggling with their teens a lot on my page now, because the post went ultra viral. It had 2.5 million views.
Wow.
And, you know, a lot of people, there were some people who were criticizing me, saying that, you know, first of all, they were fear-mongering oatmeal, saying that oatmeal, yeah, I know the look on your face, saying that, you know, oatmeal is fed to farm animals to fatten them up. Oh, I've had like the most bizarre stuff come out of the woodwork from this post. And then other people being like, you should love your daughter no matter what, and we shouldn't be focused on her weight. And I'm like, she was pre-diabetic before she lost the weight. I'm like, why don't we focus on the fact that we're headed away from obesity, we're headed away from diabetes. Like, I'm telling you she lost 32 pounds, but like, we're not focused on her aesthetic. We're focused on her having a healthy lifestyle and not being 12 and like being in that obesity category. It was very scary for me. And so anyway, I would love for you to weigh in as far as the proper way that you think approaching preteen girls. You're a mother of 2 girls as well. And I don't know what your experience with, weight and all of that, but me having twin girls who are not dealing with the same issues at the same time at all. But I have to be very delicate, and I want Bijou to keep going for it. And so how do you approach families who have young teens or preteens or, and starting even at 10, I hear that, families are trying to get their kids. I mean, we have an obesity problem with children in the US. So I would love for you to weigh in on this.
Love it. It's a loaded topic,
It
for
is,
sure.
yeah.
So I will start with what's been relevant for me.
Okay, exactly.
Okay. So as a health coach, right, I was on my journey way before I went and got my certification. But what I noticed was the more I learned, the more I wanted to keep a perfectly nutritious household, meaning, I didn't want to be the mom that had Oreos. I didn't want to be the mom that had all this chocolate and junk and a candy jar and all these things.
Okay.
Both of my kids have gone through their own set of hormone-related situations that are abnormal for the larger population.
Okay.
So I had to become educated on what their situation was while I was becoming this health coach. And what I learned very quickly was me projecting, and this is not about you, I'm, chatting about me here, me projecting the household that I wanted to have onto my kids was potentially backfiring, because I was creating this mom is healthy and mom wants to always exercise and mom wants to eat always healthy, and created this little bit of a dynamic that certain foods were becoming this forbidden thing in the household. Like, I had kept such a clean household, and it was creating some friction. And I decided to do a little bit of an experiment and just start bringing a little bit more of the junk and processed foods back into the home.
Okay.
And I did it a little slowly, and I was kind of like, oh my God, how is this going to backfire? They're hormonal teens, whatever. We know that, weight issues with kids is related to acne, and there are all these studies correlated to all this. So I had to just take a deep breath and say, I'm going to do a little experiment and see what happens. And what I learned was that having some of these things in the household made it less forbidden. And so over time, the food just became like every other food in the house, and it wasn't such a struggle that I had with my kids in terms of telling them, you need to do this. It just became the backdrop. They learned to make certain choices. It was my messages and my actions of what I was doing that really, I think, helped them. So what's that saying? Kids see more, or they learn more from what they see than from what they hear.
Yeah.
Right? So that helped me kind of get over my hump of challenge with, what do I keep in the house? What do I not keep in the house? And then I started really understanding that we should classify food in general as foods that I want to eat more of, foods that I want to eat some of, and foods that I want to eat less of. So if I keep some shit in the house, they're not forbidden. It's just, in general, you should eat more protein and more real food and more healthy local things and less processed foods, less ice creams, less of the junk.
Right.
So that mentality of me as a mom, figuring out that 80-20 balance with my kids took a lot of the stress off between my internal struggles of what should I have, what shouldn't I have. Now, that's just how I just kind of felt like sharing that.
I love that, because for me, I've always brought in the junk and the process, because I also did not want to create. My mother told me when she was growing up, they had no sugar cereals, no nothing. And my mom said she was almost like, by the time she was allowed to go on her own, she was crazed for all this stuff that was always off limits. And I did not want my kids to be food obsessed and crazed. I wanted them to like you said, see it like, hey, yeah, we have Honey Nut Cheerios, we have some Reese's cereal. And no, do I want them to always make a steady diet of this stuff? Of course not. But the more that I would say no, 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 the more that they'd want it and they beg for it in the aisle. And then what happened was they would go, when I was trying not to keep that stuff in my house, they went to the neighbor's house once, and one of my kids ate so much junk at the neighbor's house, she came home and was vomiting. And I was like, oh my God, like this is not, I want it to be where like you go to the neighbors and it's like, yeah, we have stuff too. Like not where they're going to eat all this forbidden food. So like what you're saying,
Yes.
I've now for years, I'm like, yeah, we have it. Like if you want it.
You know,
like,
think of it like this. If you tell your teenage son, you are not ever allowed to try alcohol, okay?
Yeah.
It's forbidden. The kid's going to go out and get wasted at someone else's house.
For sure.
And it's going to be like, I have to do it behind my
it
parents'
creates
back.
like a whole like mystery that then they want, they want what they can't have. I mean, that's like psychology. Like
It really is. It
Yeah.
really is. So that whole mindset of eat more of, eat some of, eat less of, when that clicked for me as a human being, I was like saying to my clients and the kids that I coach, please, because someone will say, I will say, what's new and good? And the teen will say, I was bad this weekend. And I said, you know, we're moving away from those adjectives, right? You weren't bad or good this weekend. Let's practice the, should I have eaten more of that food, some of that food, or less of that food? And when we apply that logic to whatever it is that we're consuming, okay, listen, protein bars, nothing wrong with protein bars, but do you want to eat them twice a day?
no.
Absolutely not. Okay. So protein bars are totally cool, but we want to eat less of the protein bars and we want to eat more real protein.
Right.
So for moms who are struggling or challenged with how to talk to their kids just about nutrition in general, French fries are not forbidden. French fries, they're not the best choice, but let's talk about how to coach your kid on eating less French fries.
Right.
Okay, can we role play for a second?
Yeah.
Okay, Dana, we're just making shit up, guys.
Yeah.
How many times a week do you think one of your kids is eating French fries? We're role playing. Just make something up.
Any of them, 3 times a week.
Okay. Is that mostly at home or at restaurants?
Maybe in the cafeteria at school. That's what they're eating. Probably.
Okay. So like one potential way to approach the French fries at school is number one, hey kid, you know, are the French fries at school like really good? And your son is like, they're freaking disgusting.
They're
like,
all right.
They're all right. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, you know, what are your goals right now, son?
Yeah, I want to put on some muscle.
Okay, so son says, I want to put on muscle and get rid of my acne, right?
Yeah.
So the question then becomes, well, where are your favorite French fries? Like if you're going to have them, where would you like really look forward to having them?
McDonald's.
Really? Okay, cool. Well, how many times a week are you going to McDonald's?
I don't know, like maybe on Saturdays.
Okay, so if you're going there one time a week, can you still have them, but maybe have a half portion of the French fries?
Yeah, but I get hungry.
Okay. Well,
I get really hungry. I ride my bike for hours and I'm hungry. I'm starving, Mom.
you're so funny.
It's not, I'm just being my son.
Okay, so we really are role playing
We
here.
really are.
So what makes you guys go to McDonald's?
Well, we're riding our bikes and like we're trying to find somewhere and we don't have a lot of money, and then we see McDonald's and like and I only have like $6, so I got to pick out something, and I love fries and Frosties.
Okay. Do you also love salads, son?
No, I hate salads.
Oh, come on. You know you like them. You know you like them.
I like McChicken.
So my recommendation, son, here is like one of the best things that we can do is fill up on the food that's going to serve us first. Okay.
Right.
So you're a young boy. You're trying to put on muscle. You're trying not to have acne, right? So if you are going to McDonald's and they have a fried chicken sandwich and a grilled chicken sandwich, if your typical would be to get the fried sandwich, do you think this week you could get the grilled chicken sandwich?
Yeah, I could try it.
Okay. and do you think maybe you could ask for double protein on the chicken sandwich?
Yeah, if I have the money. You want to give me extra money?
Okay, extra money. Well, you're going to do the dishes tonight to earn that extra money. But my point here is, right, like little modifications with kids, I think, go a long way. Yeah. So it's not that you can't have the French fries. It's what's a better substitute for that? So either half a portion, or think about sweet potatoes being a better alternative. Or if you're craving French fries, let's make them at home. Because at home, we can get potatoes and we can use the mandolin and we could slice them really thin and we could put them in the air fryer with avocado oil spray instead of McDonald's oil, which is canola and gross and will cause inflammation and breakouts. Like there's a way to engage them in the situation that just educates them on how to eat more of, eat some of, eat less of. So
yeah, and I think having this food, so there have been people who have asked me, like, what approaches am I taking now with Bijou making her nutritional changes too? Because she is making nutritional changes, and I want her to be aware because, I mean, her biggest changes, it will be activity level. She needs to get her activity level up. But the food changes, it's because if I have the things readily available for her. So what I found is that, yes, we have a bowl of fruit on the kitchen counter at all times, but I have found that I actually have to make a fruit salad. And I know, like, look, this is holding your kid's hand for a little while or doing the things for your kids. Like, but I find that when she comes home from school and she's hungry and she doesn't have time to, like, she doesn't want to think about it. If the fruit salad is made, you know, they could either all go to the pantry and grab a bag of chips, or if I say, Bijou, the fruit salad is made in the fridge, just go in there and you can have a big bowl of that. And I find that with fruit and vegetables, if I say that stuff's unlimited and I'm like, look, you can have as much as you want, I would rather her fill up on a belly of fruit and some Greek yogurt and, you know, then still be hungry and be grazing in the pantry to fill for other things.
So let's talk about that, because I don't really, over the past few years, have wiped out words like snacking. Yeah. And I've replaced them with like mini meals, for example. Okay. Because when I educate people on how to hit their protein goals, you know, there's been conflicting research over the past however many years about protein. Should it be equal distribution of your protein intake, or is it okay if meal one and your first meal and your last meal are your largest proteins, and then you're eating mini meals in between? So it's very interesting. Most of my clients, I don't even talk about breakfast, snack, lunch, snack, dinner. Right. It's meal 1 through meal 4 or meal 1 through 5 or 6. Okay.
Well, that was always the bodybuilding thing. I always had meals. But with my kids, I'm like, guys, I don't need you to make a whole freaking meal. We've got dinner coming up. I'm making a dinner. I want you to just have Bijou will make a scoop of Devotion Sinful Cinnamon, and she'll put that with some water, a little PB Fit, and then she'll have cut up apple or strawberries, and she puts that with the protein, and I'll say, great, that's a great snack. You'll eat the apple, the protein, and then I'll see you for dinner.
Perfect. I think that's so amazing, because I was actually going to say, before I met you, I was doing protein muffins. Yeah. Okay. I've completely elevated them since I fell in love with Devotion, because obviously the Sinful Cinnamon tastes like pumpkin spice, like
all the
moms out there. You have to get that for your kids for the holidays, especially if they're hemorrhaging money going to Starbucks and wasting money on anything pumpkin related. Get the Sinful Cinnamon. There are a million things you could do with it. I make waffles with it. I make pancakes with it. I combine it with egg whites. I combine it with egg whites and egg.
You do the overnight oats.
I do the overnight. But my point about, let's say, meal 3, okay? Meal 3 is like your 3 to 4 p.m. meal. Whether you're a working mom or an athlete or a kid coming home from school, I think a perfect mini meal for that point is like a Devotion protein muffin, okay, with superfoods in it. Chia seeds in it, flax seeds in it, pumpkin seeds in it, okay? Combined with oats, and the moms on that reel or whatever that are saying that oats are the enemy, I have them get in touch with me because I completely don't know what they're talking about. Yeah. Organic oats are the best that you can buy. Sure. You definitely should buy them organic, because The EWG has done research showing that there's cancer-causing chemicals on non-organic oats, so you want to be really careful with what you buy organic versus not. But putting that aside,
Okay.
a cottage cheese or a lactose-free yogurt, if your kid has stomach issues with lactose, Greek yogurt with a Devotion protein muffin with a drizzle of almond butter on top of it or a drizzle of almond slivers is a dessert, is a treat for a meal. And we need to reframe how we think about snacks, okay? I had a consult today with a neurosurgeon who came into me for his in-body scan, and we talked about emotional eating at night. And I said, listen, the way to reframe this whole situation is, are you hungry at night? Are you stressed? Are you bored? What's the emotion behind why you're eating at night? Okay. This was in his consult. This is how deep I go with my people.
Yeah.
So we identified there's a lot of stress going on at work. Night is his biggest stress moment. And I handed him a little packet of I bought the Devotion starter pack that has 2 of each flavor.
Yes.
I handed him one of my favorites is the brownie batter. I said, listen, this is what you're going to do. Because it's going to take a few days for you to order your canister.
Yeah.
You're going to break the pack into 2. You're going to have it with Greek yogurt tonight with some almond slivers, and it's mandatory.
Yeah.
Okay? I'm making this meal mandatory for you. Guess what?
Yeah.
There's going to be 30 grams of protein in this.
Yes.
You're a 180-pound guy. You want to be 160. You need to eat 100 and X grams of protein a day.
Yep.
30 of it for your last meal, which is dessert, is going to help you have something to look forward to at night. And then we're going to talk in a week. I want to find out, do you still feel like you're stress eating, or do you feel like you're looking forward to a healthy protein meal?
Yeah.
These are meals,
That's been
guys.
a huge for and for parents looking like for their kids. A lot of kids expect a dessert at night after dinner, and I get it. Like my kids were like, "Oh, what are you having for dessert?" And for Bijou, we replaced, we did a little mug cake. She'll say like, Mom, I just want a little mug cake. And she loves the simple cinnamon or the brownie batter. And, and we'll put a few raspberries on top. And like you said, like some almonds or some things like that. And it's like she eats it and she's satisfied. And I mean, I do it for myself. That's how I've ended my evenings with something sweet. It's a game changer because you're not trying to like, okay, now it's like a dessert, and what are we eating? Ice cream? Like we're going to do a sugar spike before bed? Like what are we,
Here's the thing that, because I'm always on a quest for learning more.
Yeah.
So I've built relationships with professionals in every food-related category in my space, okay? Emotional eating, binge eating has taught me that the education has taught me a great way to coach people through food choices, okay? When you're in a situation where you're not sure why you're going to eat, is it stress, is it boredom, is it whatever it is the choice I'm going to make going to nourish me or will it punish me?
Right.
If you are making a healthy protein snack or buying a Yasso bar or rice cakes with some almond butter and cottage cheese, those foods are going to nourish you, okay?
Yep.
That is very different than getting in the car and driving somewhere and eating something that after you eat it, you may feel like you've punished yourself.
So what does a mom say to a child who's struggling with their weight and they want to make sure they're saying it correctly, but the child really wants Oreos. They want Oreo cookies and milk, and that's what they want. And I'm hungry, and I'm still hungry, and I want more. And if 4 Oreos isn't enough, I mean, how do you ration with a child who does not,
So here's the thing. I'm not a psychologist, and I wish that I was, but I'm not a psychologist. I'm not a therapist. I will just talk from personal experience.
But if you're coaching somebody, if a kid is telling you, if a mother is saying, like, you're working with our family and our kid wants a lot of Oreos after dinner.
What I would probably say to the kid or say to the mom who's calling me worried about the kid is let's talk to the kid. Let's leave the kitchen.
Yeah.
Let's talk to the kid in a safe space about their day. Honey, talk to me about your day. how did your nutrition go when you were at school? How was that lunch that I made you? Did you eat it or did you throw it out, right?
Yep.
Like, how was your after-school tennis today? How was dance? Oh, mommy, at dance, the kids locked me in the bathroom, and like I was so upset. Well, why didn't you tell me about that? That's big. I don't know. I just didn't want to bother you, whatever. You know, I'm not feeling great today. I feel like I was bullied. And maybe that kid needs something other than food. Maybe the kid needs a hug. Maybe the kid needs, to go for a walk with mom. Maybe the kid needs alone time with mom.
So
right?
the kid wanting more food could be connected to their emotions from the day.
I think that a lot of times we go to food or exercise. Like when my mom passed away, all my dad would do was run. And he did it to solve for something that was missing for him.
Right.
And I know, given all the loss that I've been through in my life, sometimes what I need is a hug. Sometimes what I need is someone to tell me, you're doing a good job. An accolade, an affirmation. It has nothing to do with food. But when we're on this rat race of everything's accessible to us, Mommy, I want a new cell phone case. I'm going to Amazon it, and it's going to come first thing tomorrow, and that's going to make me feel great. Right? We're so used to getting things at our fingertips that food becomes a very easy solution to go and grab.
Right.
And so this woman that I've become, affiliated with, she has taught me this method: delay, distract, and then decide. So if your kid wants the Oreos and is like insistent on 2, 3, 4 more, find a way to delay that decision. Let's go watch your favorite TV show first.
Right.
Let's go clean out your closet. Let me paint your nails. Let's go do something.
Right.
Take 15, 20 minutes
I like that.
to distract yourself, to distract the child. Talk about what's gone on. Give that physical hug or that affirmation.
Yeah.
And then maybe point out, how do you feel? How do you feel after that hug? How do you feel after that walk? Do you feel better? Do you still want the few Oreos?
And if the kid
not avoid it, not avoid it.
And then sometimes the kid will then be like, okay, now can we go get some Oreos? Okay, fine. So if you're going back, but I think as the parent then, you also have to kind of switch things up and say, you know what I'm going to do is I'm going to take, I'll bring devotion back in. I'm going to take some Greek yogurt and half a scoop of the brownie batter, and I'm going to make this yummy mousse, this chocolate mousse, and I'm going to take one Oreo and I'm going to crumble it on top. Mm-hmm. And it's like, it's a kind of like a compromise to say, like, look, we don't need to eat a sleeve of Oreos. We don't need 5 Oreos and dunking them in milk. That's not, but you're going to get in the protein, which is going to be more satiating. So if you have like some yogurt and some protein and you make it into that, and you have the one Oreo and you make it like a cookies and cream crumble, it's kind of like showing that, like, look, I didn't say you couldn't have an Oreo. And I'm not saying that they're off limits, and I'm not saying I'm not creating food fear and disordered eating, that we don't eat any of that, but this is how we eat it. Like, we can still have that yummy cookie crumble crunch, but we're going to prioritize eating like protein, which then will actually keep the child satiated and hopefully have them feel like satisfied that they ate something and for dessert. And
I love that.
On.
I love that, Dana, because I also think it gives parents an opportunity to talk about tomorrow. Okay, delay, distract, decide. Okay.
Yes.
When I was intermittent fasting, I was obsessed. I go all in. Whatever I'm into, I go all in.
Yes.
So I went all in on this podcast. Intermittent fasting, I don't know, by Jen Stevens. And basically, it was like delay, then decide. Okay. With intermittent fasting, you can have what you want as long as it fits within your window, right? So to make this analogy like applicable to everything we've talked about today, the eat more of, eat some of, eat less of. You're going to eat more protein and you're going to eat less of the Oreos,
right.
But you're going to crumble it and you're going to get what you want, okay? So you're giving your kid a solution. You're talking about this 80-20 rule. Yes, of course, have the Oreo. Just portion it out. Create an experience. Because what people are looking for is the experience of dining together, the experience of going out for ice cream.
Yep.
How many times have you gone out for ice cream and you're like, oh my God, why do they give such a big portion?
Yeah.
You're full. Okay.
Like, I don't really need that.
You
Like,
don't
we all
need
came
it.
out because it's like a fun family activity, but like,
But with all the people I coach, because I really coach a diverse population now, especially with all the GLP-1s out there, the Ozempics, Mounjaros. I have clients that like used to eat so much that eat very little now because they just cannot consume more, right? We really should be teaching ourselves, our kids, to eat to 75 or 80% satiety. Okay.
I never understood that because I was always like a volume eater. So I get it that people struggle with that.
But there are ways to practice, and you guys, if you follow me on Instagram, you'll see like I talk a lot about in my infographics like tips to slowing down your eating, right? Like with your kids, it's a great tip to be like, guys, let's enjoy the meal. Let's not rush through. Yes, I know you have 4 hours of homework and you want to be on Snap with your friends, but like the family time, we're not going to get this back when you go to college. So like, let's slow down mealtime. Let's put our fork down in between bites. Okay. We're going to drink our water mostly in between meals. Okay. We're not going to like gulp down water, gulp down food. That's not great for our digestion. Right. We're going to enjoy the meal. We're going to go for a 10-minute walk after the meal because Jagger and Rosie have to go out and eat. Eating and then taking a walk is great for our digestion. And we're going to just appreciate this meal that we're having. And we're going to eat slowly and we're going to eat. And when we hit 75, 80% full, what we're going to do is we're going to push away a little bit from the table. We're going to take a deep breath and we're going to see how we feel. How do we feel? Are we still hungry? Okay. Then I'm going to make a conscientious decision to finish the rest of the 25 or 20% of the food that's on our plate. But guess what? If we're not hungry, we don't have to finish the food on our plate.
Yeah.
And like really talking about, you know, a balanced meal and including, and I love what you do with your kids because I see them preparing their foods. And I actually think that's brilliant for any parents that are struggling with their kids. Stop overdoing for them. Get them in the kitchen.
Yep.
Give them a little bit of like accountability to make their own lunch for school.
Yeah.
Buy them a bento box if you have to and show them the protein goes in this side, the veggies go in this side. You know, yes, if you want to have a processed snack, just don't have half of your lunch be processed. Have one.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
That's what we used to do for snacks. I would take like muffin tins and I'd be like, okay, you can 3 muffin tins get like the snacks from the pantry, and then the other 6 or whatever have to be fruits, vegetables, you know, or whatever the little things like little meat or cheese stick pieces we'd cut up, and like we'd have like little snacks as they were growing up. So I would show like, look at how colorful this is, and you can have the little pretzels, but then and the goldfish and all the little things, but then you also are going to have to fill one with raspberries and one with blueberries, and just to teach variety, and also that like certain they're not off limits, but like you've got to make sure that you have the other things in, and the other things are going to be a priority. So you know these are
little tips, but also, and listen, I'm not pitching that every mom and kid that has, you know, food challenges should hire a coach or a nutritionist. So,
no,
you know,
these
disclosure.
are just helpful tips for parents to communicate with their kids even about nutrition, or ways to just approach nutrition in the home or with the family. I know a lot of parents are worried about creating unhealthy habits or, God forbid, like eating disorders and all those things, because it's a delicate thing to walk around. You know, you want your kids to learn to make healthy choices without saying, don't eat that, you know.
But my point with that is, I think, you know, yes, on one hand, we could say, based on our previous episode, that being 16 and driving yourself to Weight Watchers by yourself at 16 could have been traumatic, right?
Sure.
But on the flip side, it was very liberating because my parents basically taught me that I had to advocate for myself.
Yes.
Okay. And so I think that in today's world, and I feel this as a 50-year-old woman going through almost 50 years old, going through hormonal changes, it takes a village to figure out how to solve problems. And I think in the home, what has worked really well for me is if I am struggling with something, showing my kids that I'm not afraid to ask for help to help them is a huge win. So for example, both of my kids went to sleepaway camp. Okay. They went to Northeast camps. I am not into fashion. I am not into buying what's new and hot. I never know the trends. I'm always very late. And it was very stressful for me getting my kids ready for camp because they always made it seem like they were the kids without the cool stuff.
Right.
So I would take them to Denny's or whatever, and they literally had an aunt at Denny's that worked at Denny's, not their aunt, but like the manager of the store, who I would go and I would sit in the backdrop, and that woman would help me take care of my kids because she knew how to outfit them for camp.
Right.
And it gave me a chance to not be stressed out, to rely on an expert, and to let my kids express themselves without the bickering with me behind. That's so expensive. Well, I don't care that everyone else has it. You hear where I'm going with this?
Right. And
So-
it's the kids they'll have the independence now in their choices, and they're learning because they're making the choices. They're on the front line with the expert, learning as they go, and then they're making the choices and ultimately, like you said, advocating for themselves.
And I think that there are people out there, like I wish that, I love this coaching world. I love this self-help world that we are in right now. I wish that there were more resources for me when I was younger, because being a teen and struggling with your body image is no joke. I was bullied in high school because of my body image. And that had lasting impression on me, and I wasn't talking to anybody. Right. And so my pitch here is, your products are amazing. Parents, get cooking. Let your kids kind of take the lead with their overnight oats. There's nothing that needs an oven, a stove. Like, all they need are a bunch of mason jars, okay? And a bunch of different flavors of some of the devotion stuff. And when you position things like, yes, those raspberries are a great choice with the brownie batter. Teach your kid that raspberries are one of the highest fiber fruits. And why they should have raspberries, because it's going to help them go to the bathroom and it's going to help give them antioxidants. Talk to your kids about why avocado is one of the healthiest fruits out there. Well, maybe it's not the greatest in an overnight oat situation, but maybe it's great
with their like chicken wrap or
with
something
their chicken
like that.
wrap or with their eggs, and just point them in the right direction. Basically,
I love
is
it.
what I'm saying
so
here.
It all goes back to education, and it's educating our kids. It's open lines of communication, and then letting them make their healthy choices, which is what happened with Bijou in our home, and she's now advocating for herself, going after it for herself. So
it's so amazing. You've done such a
thank
great
you.
job.
Well, thanks for being here. I think this topic was really good, and it was one that I really wanted to cover. So I'm glad that we did that today. And to find Carrie, give your information again for anyone listening.
So on Instagram, it's Coach Carrie Best, and it's on the internet, CoachCarrieBest.com. Facebook, the same, Coach Carrie Best. So you can find me, parents, kids, connect with me. I'd love to help you and your family, and the opportunities are endless to be healthy and well.
Yes. Well, thank you. And thank you all for joining in to another episode of Until It's Done, a Devoted podcast.